Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I have a couple of really fun, easy DIYs for you today. We are going to be doing some snowmen, so this would be Christmas, or it could also just be winter, and it's using Dollar Tree or recycled items, so it's super affordable, and they're a little bit bigger pieces than other like Dollar Tree DIYs, which is kind of fun, because sometimes you need something just a little bit bigger. So I'm excited to share these with you. Let's get started. All right, so I'm starting off with these globe vases, I guess, from Dollar Tree. They're in like the vase section. I picked them up a while ago. These are items that aren't just available at Christmas time. And I am pouring in some chalk paint, and we're just going to coat the inside of these. Now this I'm going to do in real time without speeding it up for a little bit, just so you can kind of see that process. My recommendation, I've also done this with acrylic paint in the past, but I did use chalk paint, and I did actually water it down because my bottle was getting towards the end and it was just really, really thick. But you can use acrylic paint because I have done that. I've done this many, many times. You want to not use too much paint and just take your time and slowly turn it until everything is coated, and then you want to pour out, let the rest of it drip out. Now, one thing I did this time that I would do it differently is there was a little bit of paint, wet paint still in the bottom of each of my projects, and I was like, oh, it'll just dry, I'll just leave it, it's not that much, it'll eventually dry. The problem is the parts where the paint pooled and puddled, once it dried, it did crack. Now, you can't see them in any of the projects just because of the locations of them, but I would not do that again. That's the first time I've ever done this that way. I've done this, like I said, many times. So definitely, get yourself like a paper plate or something and turn it upside down. First, pour out as much of it like this as possible so you don't have a puddle around the rim of the dish that you're using, but then stick it upside down like on a paper plate or something and let all of the paint drip out. So that is going to be my little tip to you for doing this. So for this project, we are using two of them. And once they're all dry, I'm going to go back in on one of them and I'm going to just paint a little face. I'm just using the end of a paintbrush we're making a snowman. I think I already said that. For the eyes and the mouth, and then I'm going to paint on with a little paintbrush the carrot nose. Now, this isn't perfect. I'm totally freehanding it. You could easily use buttons or even stickers. And then afterwards, I was thinking, I think I want to use puffy paint next time, or like the fabric paint. Dollar Tree does sell it, and I was seeing Kelly from Kelly Barlow Creations use it on a project. It wasn't like this, but she was using it on a project, and I thought, that stuff is so easy to control. Like, you can almost write with it. I wish I would have done that. But the good news is with this, if you mess up, the paint can just easily be wiped off the glass, no problem. So you can always start over if you need to. And now I'm taking one of these white circle foam pieces. They come in a 2-pack from the Dollar Tree and a wooden block. And I'm going to paint both of them black. Now what I was hoping to do was find a little hat ornament from the Dollar Tree. They've had them before. I'm guessing they're going to have them this year, but I have not seen them yet at my stores, so I'm making my own hat. But if you can find a little hat ornament at Dollar Tree or Walmart or even Hobby Lobby, then you can kind of skip this step. But we're going to just make a hat by painting these both black, and then I will attach them with some hot glue, and I think I use a little bit of wood glue as well. And I do paint the underside here of this piece just so that the bottom rim is black as well. So now I'm taking this bandana piece from the Dollar Tree and I'm cutting a strip of this. You can use any type of fabric or material. You could use some felt, whatever you want, but they do have these at the Dollar Tree. And I cut them so that I wanted, like, because these are big squares, I wanted to see a little bit of both sides, so that's why I cut it the way I did. And I'm just hot gluing the edges to kind of clean it up a little bit. And we're going to do some embellishing on the little hat. So once I have all of my clean edges, we're going to start hot gluing this to like the bottom part of the hat here. And we're just going to hot glue that all the way around. And then I kind of dug through my little stash to find some things to embellish this with. I have the hats just leaning on this box of pine cones because I needed it to stay up. And I'm just using a little piece of the garland ties, I think they're called, from Dollar Tree from previous years. I just cut off a little piece of that, but you could use anything from like a, Christmas pick or whatever. And then I'm going to hot glue 3 little jingle bells, again, also from my stash from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue 3 of them on, kind of like little holly berries. And then once that was done, I thought I was done, and I dug through my little bin and found these little pine cones. They're these little plastic pine cones that didn't really look very good on the piece I took them off of, but I didn't think they looked bad on this, so I hot glued 2 of them on. I was struggling with the hot glue strings there. And then we had that all embellished. Now we're going to assemble the whole thing together. I'm using some E6000 to attach the 2 globes together. I'm calling them globes. I don't know. I guess that's not right. I don't know. Round vases. And the E6000 jar is sometimes, or bottle is sometimes hard to open. So I needed to grab some pliers. And I'm just going to put that along the rim, and then we're going to set it on top. And then I am going to go around with some hot glue. Hot glue in glass isn't necessarily the best hold, which is why I went with E6000. But that does take a little time to dry. So I just put a little bead around the 2 here just to make sure it stayed together while the E6000 dried. So I made another little strip of fabric like I did for the hat, and I'm just kind of gluing it together again here, and we're making a little scarf. Once again, use any type of material that you want for this, but I am going to, once again, this time I'm just going to hot glue it. I'm not super worried about that coming off, so hot glue it around, and when it got near the face, I just was careful to, angle it and stuff so that we didn't block any of the face, and have it crisscross. And then I trim off the edges because those were where the seams were, and then cut in little slits to make a little bit of fringe on the scarf. And there went my camera, because I had it not on my tripod for this, because I was trying to get a better angle so that you could actually see what I was doing. So here I am cutting in that little bit of fringe. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember, those things help out YouTube creators. It helps YouTube know that you're liking it, and more likely for YouTube to share my video with others. So now I'm once again using E6000 to put the hat on. I was really trying to get it centered, but just put that on there. And then once again, I'm going to go around with just a little bit of hot glue, not like the whole way around, but just enough to kind of help that hold in place a little bit. And that is it for this snowman. I think he came out really cute, and yeah, I love how he came out, and he's a good size, and this was a really fun project. So we're going to do one more snowman here, and this time I am using an old jar. I always save jars. This was a pickle jar, and I'm going to do the same technique here, but you could use like a skinnier jar, a spaghetti sauce jar, whatever you want. Both of these ideas I kind of saw on Pinterest, but I saw them multiple times, so there's not like an over the last year. I've seen just pictures and they stuck out in my mind. So nothing in particular to really reference, but I just kind of saw the idea. And actually the one for this, I don't know if it used a mason jar and an ornament, but when I saw it, I remember thinking, oh, I could do that with a mason jar and an ornament. So I have a little plastic ornament from the Dollar Tree, and this is going to be the head. You could also use like a large styrofoam ball, but I'm using these little styrofoam snow pieces. They are annoying. They static like crazy, but I had bought them a long time ago, and I'm like, I need to just use them up. So for the head, I decided to just make a little funnel with some paper and use those to fill this up. And it just took a little bit of finagling, but I got it. And as I got to the top, I just kind of kept tapping down the ornament and putting more in to just make sure that I was filling in all of the air gaps, because I didn't want the pieces to like settle as time went on and then have like gaps in where this, in the snowman's head that were all clear. So, but you could once again paint the inside or use something else. There's lots of little faux snow options at the Dollar Tree and craft stores. So I just popped the top back on, and now I'm using a sock. This is a fuzzy sock. These are actually from my drawer, but they have them at the Dollar Tree, and that's where I bought it. And I thought, you know what, let me just pull this out and buy myself some new socks. So that's what I decided to do, but I'm just going to hot glue that around. We're going to make the hat as well as the scarf out of this so that they're matching, because you want your winter gear to match. So I'm just doing a little bit at a time, going to hot glue that around, just getting the angle I want based on how I want the head to sit on the jar. I think I'm just using a little glass here to sit it on, the ornament on while I do this, but we're just going to hot glue that all the way around. And then I decided how tall I wanted it to be. I ended up cutting it off right before the heel of the sock. And then I'm going to take some yarn. I just had some white yarn, but you could use twine or any string you want, and just tie off that top. And I did wrap it around just a couple times just to kind of give a little bit of a thicker white band there, and tied it in a knot and trimmed that off. So once again, I'm going to paint on the face using the same technique I did before, but you could do, whatever you wanted. If you have a Cricut, you could just print off the pieces or cut out the pieces, however that's called. I clearly don't have a Cricut, I'm not sure the verbiage to use. And this I did do a little bit on an angle. You're going to see when I put it all together how I had it, but we're just going to paint that on. And I don't know if I said this earlier, I did just use acrylic paint for that. And then I found these little red buttons in my stash and painted them black. You can buy buttons, like containers of buttons at the Dollar Tree. You can use some from, that you have lying around your house. Or you could use little pom-poms, whatever you want. Now we are going to attach this head once again using the E6000. And then I go around with just a little bit of hot glue, being careful to make sure hot glue doesn't get on any surface that's like going to be seen. That's just, you want to be mindful of that. And then we're going to take the sock, and I'm just going to cut a strip that goes all the way to the tip of the sock, because I do want to add that little detail at the end there. And I'm just going to cut that into 2 pieces because one was not going to be long enough for the scarf. So I cut it in 2. We're going to hot glue the ends together to make ourselves a longer piece. And then I'm just going to attach this to the back of the snowman's head. Oh yeah, I cut some fringe in first. And then we're going to hot glue it to the back of the jar, like at the snowman's back of his neck. And then we're going to wrap it around. I really did not hot glue except for the back and then here in the front. And it's stretchy, so I just kind of stretched it to the spot and the angle that I wanted it to hit. And we have a scarf. I realize I make weird faces and I got a lot of necks at this angle, but you're welcome. Now I'm just going to hot glue on those buttons, and then this snowman is also done. Isn't he super cute? I have the hat kind of angled more in the back, but I love how this little guy came out. Really cute, and just use a jar that I had on hand. Alright, well that is it for today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. I was pretty thrilled with how they came out, even though I had a couple little hiccups along the way. But overall, I think they came out great. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time. Bye guys.